Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Medavia news. My name's Heather and I'm going to tell you all about the stories we've had published this week. We've actually had 7 in the magazine, so I'm going to whiz through them so not to bore you too much. The first one is in Love It magazine. I think this is a fantastic story. This is a girl called Lauren Adkins. She's from Nevada in the US and she is getting married to a cardboard cutout of Edward Cullen from Twilight. It actually started off as an art project. Lauren really wanted to make a point about how there's a huge expectation in society for women to find their Prince Charming, you know, to find the one, and she's basically saying he's not out there, but you know, she's found her own in cardboard form. They're getting married next year in the Viva Las Vegas Wedding Chapel. She is trying to raise some money for this at the moment. I'll put the link in the down bar, and you can read all about it and get involved. I think it's quite a fun story, and I like that there's this you know, quite striking message behind it as well. So that's the first one. That one's in Love It. Next we're in Pick Me Up magazine. The first one is a girl called Jade Davies. As you can see, this is quite a shocking crime story. Jade got into a relationship with a guy called Danny Mitchell. First he seemed like a real charmer, she was really happy with him, but very quickly his behaviour changed, and one night he turned on her and left her with some quite brutal injuries. Fortunately he's now in prison, and Jade approached Medavia because she wanted to share her story with other women and hopefully encourage other victims of domestic violence to come forward and convict their abusers. So that's the first one. Next we have this wonderful woman, she's called Louise Beadle. Okay. And from a very young age, well, since birth, Louise has suffered with birthmarks. She was completely covered from her head to her toe, and she was very unhappy about it. At school she was bullied, and she took to covering herself completely in makeup, so not just her face but her arms and her chest, and she would go through a bottle of foundation every fortnight because she was using it so often. Later in life she met a man called Michael. That's a happy couple there. And Michael really helped Louise learn to love herself. Over time she became comfortable around him, and she even would stop wearing makeup at home. But she was still quite afraid to go outside, you know, to go out into public without covering herself up, for fear of what people might think, or even, you know, what people might actually say to her. But you know, over time and with Michael's love and support, she started to overcome those fears as well. And so in May this year they got married, and for the first time Louise didn't cover up her arms or chest with makeup. She, you know, bared her birthmarks to everyone to see, walked down the aisle in this beautiful strapless dress there, and you know, she says that for the first time she's found the real me. So that's a really lovely one. Next we've got quite a silly one. This is in Pick Me Up magazine as well. This is Caroline Rayner. And Caroline absolutely loves Disney. She's got about 570 Disney toys worth about £5,000, and one day she's hoping that she'll get to be in the Guinness Book of World Records. She's currently being beaten though by a woman in the US who's got 4,441 Donald Ducks. So she's got quite a way to go, but as you can see, she's not too far off. Okay. And lastly, in Pick Me Up magazine, we've got Siobhan Delaney. Now I actually helped Siobhan get into the Sun newspaper back in November, and she's now in Pick Me Up talking about her experiences with gastric surgery and pregnancy. Siobhan had been overweight for a very long time in her life, and she eventually decided that she would have a gastric bypass in order to get pregnant. But just 2 months after having the surgery, in a shocking twist, she found out she was already pregnant, and even while actually having the operation, she was pregnant. So there was a real risk to the baby's life. Throughout the pregnancy, it was very touch and go. Because she'd had the surgery and it wasn't reversible, she did struggle to get enough food and nutrients to feed her and her baby, and she was very poorly throughout. But luckily it all ended well. She had baby Kean, and they've now had a little brother, which is Kieran. So that's that one. Next we're in That's Life magazine, and first of all we've got Jean Barker there. And Jean is talking this week about the loss of her daughter Katie. Now just a few weeks before Katie was due to get married, Katie developed flu. That she then contracted pneumonia and sadly she died. And just 2 weeks after what should have been her wedding day, Jean sadly had to bury her daughter, and what would have been her wedding flowers were actually her funeral flowers. So she really wanted to talk about that, to give hope to other mums who might have lost their daughters, and kind of say that it's okay to grieve for them and that it does get easier over time. Okay, and lastly, we're in That's Life magazine again, and this is a couple called Avril and Zara. Okay, so they met each other last year, and when they met, Zara revealed to Avril that she was a pre-op transsexual. She was currently going through hormone treatment, and she'd been living as a woman for a year. They got together and were very happy, and they decided that they wanted to start a family at some point. Then Zara was told that she had just 3 months before her hormone treatment would render her infertile. So the couple really had to race against time so that Avril could get pregnant before it was too late. It worked. It all went well, and they've now got a baby together. So that's them, and that's little baby Silas. So that's quite a nice story too. Very hopeful message there. And that's it. So it's been a very busy week for us. I'll put a link down there to our website so you can read a little bit more about these stories if you want. We'll have the full-size scans so you can read them in detail. And if you want to find out more information either about Medavia or about selling your story, then just have a look on our website. Okay, thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye.